Hi everyone, I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. I have always loved animals, all of God's creatures, but my most favorite is probably a cat. I often say that you can judge a person's character if they love cats. Don't ask how I got into researching the subject about cats and their history through wartime. You've probably heard about dogs on the battlefield, but often overlooked is cats. They often provide companionship to troops, but they have had a history of defending the food, keeping the mice population down, and has been used as banners of fear against foreign troops. Cats, as you know, were worshipped in ancient Egypt, and they have uncovered over 300,000 cat mummies there. Killing a cat in ancient Egypt could be punished by death. In fact, ancient Egyptians loved cats so well that the Persian armies actually turned it against them in one of the earliest instances of felines being used in war. The Persian king Cambyses painted the image of Bastet, the Egyptian cat god, on their shields. Cats were let loose on the battlefield, and because the Egyptians lawfully could not hurt or kill cats, they simply surrendered. To the Japanese and Chinese, calico cats were considered good luck, tokens of good fortune. This dates back to the tradition of Japanese sailors traveling with calicos to bring about safe passage. The multicolored cats were believed to be able to chase away storms and ancestral ghosts. Throughout the territories of the Roman Empire, cats were brought to military installations and naval bases. These cats served an important purpose to keep mice and rats out of their grain supplies. They can also inflict heavy damage upon their equipment. Rats can gnaw through leather and wood, which is not good to deal with during times of war. Cats also had another function in the Roman military as mascots and pets for various army units and ships. A number of Roman army units were reportedly, supposedly, to have cats of different colors on their banners. There was one unit in Rome called the Praetorian Guard. They were known as the Catti, or the Cats in English. There was actually a cat that was given the Dicken Medal. One cat, only one cat. And many of you probably haven't heard about that medal. On December 2nd, 1943, Maria Dicken, founder of the animal charity, the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, made huge strides in recognizing animal bravery. The Dicken Medal was created to recognize the outstanding act of gallantry and devotion to duty displayed by animals serving with the armed forces or civil defense units. It's also regarded as the Victory Cross for animals. As of late December 2023, 75 times the award has been given to 38 dogs, 32 pigeons, 2 horses, and 1 cat. Simon the cat was the ship's mascot who served on the Royal Navy sloop of war, the HMS Amethyst. In 1949, during what was known as the Yangtze Incident, he received the Dicken Medal after surviving injuries from an artillery shell, raising morale, and killing off a rat infestation during his service. Simon was found wandering the dockyards of Hong Kong in March of 1948 by an ordinary seaman and brought aboard. He soon integrated himself with the crew and officers, particularly because he adopted a really good habit at killing rats in the lower deck. Simon rapidly gained a reputation for cheekiness, they say, leaving presents of dead rats in sailors' beds and sleeping in the captain's cap. During that battle, one round tore through the captain's cabin. He was probably sleeping there, and seriously wounded Simon. The badly wounded cat crawled on deck and was rushed to the medical bay, where the ship's surviving medical staff cleaned his burns and removed 4 pieces of shrapnel, and was not expected to live, but he managed to survive. He, however, did manage to survive and after a period of recovery returned to his former duties of mice and rat hunting. He was also awarded the Blue Cross Medal. Donations to the Blue Cross Fund enabled the charity to care for more than 350,000 animals during the Second World War. Simon also received the Amethyst Campaign Medal and was given the rank of Able Sea Cat. He was given that title after disposing of a particularly vicious rat known as Mao Ti Tung. Thousands of letters were written to him, so many that evidently they had to get a cat officer to deal with all the mail that Simon received. As for the Civil War, General Robert E. Lee wrote about one of their cats called Baxter. He said, "Our feline companions are flourishing. Young Baxter is growing in gracefulness and favor and gives cat-like evidence of his future worth. He possesses the fashionable color of moonlight on the water and is strictly aristocratic in appearance and conduct." I guess another cat he had was Tom, surnamed the Nipper, from the manner in which he slaughtered their enemies, rats and mice. He also wrote about his stay in Arlington, about a large yellow cat called Tom Tita. That cat evidently died from overeating. He wrote that the cat would have coffee and cream for breakfast, pound cake for lunch, turtle and oysters for dinner, buttered toast, and Mexican rats taken raw for supper. There was another story about his cat. It was evidently trapped outside during a storm, and he opened the window to let the cat in, but it was too high, so he used a crutch for the cat to climb up on. Another cat called Tom in the 1850s, called the Crimean War. The main battle was a year-long siege of the Russian city, Sebastopol, by British and French troops. By the time the city fell, both sides were starving. Now, supposedly, a British lieutenant was searching a Russian cellar for food when he noticed a cat sitting on a pile of rubble covered in dust and grime. He named the cat Tom and brought him to the officer's shelter, where they noticed he remained well fed. The British soldiers followed Tom into the city to see where he was getting such a good supply of mice, and discovered a pile of rubble, which they cleared to reveal a storeroom full of food. Tom was brought to England after the war, where he died in 1856, and he had a hero taxidermied and was donated his body after being petrified or stuffed and embalmed, was donated to the Royal United Service Institution. The stuffed cat was labeled Crimean Tom and is currently in the National Army Museum collection. In May of 1941, Allied ships finally sunk the German boat the Bismarck. Among the wreckage, a black and white tuxedo cat was found, which the British crew of the HMS Amethyst named Oscar, the naval code for man overboard. 5 months later, the Cossack was torpedoed by a German U-boat, and the cat again survived, earning him the nickname Unsinkable Sam. I want to add, too, that evidently Ulysses Grant, he also had cats that traveled with him during the Civil War. I almost forgot about that. I want to add that. So going back to Unsinkable Sam. Sam's luck was tested yet again in November of 1941. He was transferred to the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal, which had, coincidentally, assisted in the sinking of the Bismarck. The carrier was torpedoed only 3 weeks later, and when the HMS Lightning picked up survivors, they found an angry but quite unharmed Sam. Sam was retired from military service and spent the rest of his life as a mouser for the governor of Gibraltar and a Belfast sailors in a Belfast sailors' home, I should say. And yet another famous cat from World War II was a striped tabby called Princess Papulu, was born on July 4th, 1945 at the Pearl Harbor Navy base in Hawaii. She was brought onto the attack transport vessel, the HMS Fremont. She was given the nickname Polly and chose to sleep in the mailroom during battles. Upon crossing the equator for the first time, the tabby participated in a ceremony transforming inexperienced sailors from pollywogs to sea-hardened shellbacks, as they were called. She was issued her own uniform and awarded 3 service ribbons and 4 battle stars for her time in the Navy. There's also a historical marker from the Civil War that can be found. It says, Tomcat, Garrison Mascot, the sole Confederate fatality after several hours of intense bombardment on March 3, 1863. This cat evidently was the garrison mascot. The death of the cat was deeply regretted by the men, and news of the fatality was communicated to General Beauregard in the official report of the action. And then recently, cats have been used in Ukraine for propaganda. This here is a Ukrainian moral patch. Ukraine's social media is full of felines showing how they help soldiers as emotional support animals, attracting donations to the military with their fluffy cuteness, and also to fight invaders, in this case mice. The cats usually arrive at Ukrainian army positions from nearby villages or towns destroyed by war. Abandoned by their owners, the pets seek human protection from the constant shelling, drone attacks, and minefields. One of the soldiers there said that when this scared little creature comes to you seeking protection, how can you say no? Cats and other animals bring comfort to the Ukrainian soldiers. Some adopt them and take them home. Others prefer to keep them in the trenches and even pass them on to other units during rotation. There was also a cat that was found in Iraq and brought back home and given a medal. I guess he lived out his life in Colorado, if I got the facts right. But I thought it was interesting about all these different cats going all the way back to the time of Egypt. So what are your thoughts? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.